When that winter weather starts, most of the state's businesses will pause, but there are plenty of businesses that may be asking people to face potentially dangerous driving conditions and make their way into work.
Now, you may even be one of those people, prompting a lot of questions into workers' rights here in the state, especially during inclement weather.
Joining us to break this down, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, to talk about laws, liability. What are your options if you are the business owner or the employee? So let's talk about that. Kind of a two-headed coin, similar to the landlord-tenant conversation we had a while ago. I'm going to start with an employee. If I'm being pressured to come into work and I feel unsafe, can I be fired? Like, what are my legal protections?
I love this question as someone that grew up driving in, 2 feet of snow to go to work. What I can tell you is I have no sympathy for folks that are trying to drive through 2 inches. But I will be honest and say that I recognize that it's different. It's not apples to apples. Up there in the north, we got snow, we got the brine, we got the things that are in place to prepare the roads for you to drive on it. Mecklenburg County and this entire region is not prepared for what we're going to hit, even if they attempt to do it, just because we're not used to getting it. So I understand. Right to work state, recognizing that this is an at-will employee, so your employer can terminate you for anything. So let me start with that. But if the job is open and you failed to come in because you decided that weather was something that was in the way, you can be subject to be terminated because you failed to come to work. And there is no protections in the state for that. If you're saying that I didn't come in just because of the weather, that's not a defense. That's not an ability for you to bring a claim against them. Now, if you appear at the job and there is a hazard there, say, for instance, the storm created some type of electrical hazard or some type of manufacturer hazard, or the roof collapsed because of the ice and it weighed on the roof. Now OSHA would take over, and now you are required to notify your employer that there's a hazard that's stopping me from being at the workplace, and then you could leave. But it's that transition from leaving your house to getting to your job. Yeah, you're required to get there and now see if there's a hazard. And then that opens the door for you to be able to say, okay, now I'm protected once I get here, where I can't stay here at this job because now you guys haven't done the things that you're required to do to make sure that there's no hazards. Kind of like the house when we talked about habitability in the last segment. The owner of the house has to make sure it's habitable. The employer has to make sure that you're not looking at any unsafe hazards at the job.
So just to be clear, if your employer makes you come into work, you feel unsafe, you do it anyway, your car crashes, you have damages to your car, or you have hospital bills because you get injured, there's nothing civilly that you can do to say my employer threatened to fire me if I didn't come in?
I'd say overwhelming percentage of time the answer would be yes to your response, that you would have no legal remedy, no civil complaint against them. However, if there is a one-off scenario where, say, the governor declares a state of emergency and they close roads because it's unsafe to drive, and then your employer is still saying, yes, you have to come to work. In that one-off scenario, they knew or should have known that you getting on the road would have given you an increased opportunity to be injured. I believe in that small scenario, you'd have an opportunity to bring a claim against your employer because they knew or should have known that they put you in a position to get in an accident. But that's a number of things that would have to line up. State of emergency, not just a state of emergency basic because of a storm, but now road closures, like unsafe for anyone to be driving. And your employer now forces you to go. I think you'd have a claim there because it was foreseeable that an injury could occur because the governor is saying don't get on the roads. But again, I think that's a number of things that have to get in place before you get there.
Khalif, real quickly, say that your job requires you to be outside. Is there any temperature or hazardous conditions that are too cold or too hazardous for your employer to say, I need you to work outside?
More OSHA connected. I mean, those are things where that knew or should have known that we're putting you at some extreme risk to getting danger, and that would be more hazardous as opposed to the travel. A lot of folks want to know about that, what happens between the interim of me leaving my house to getting to my job, and because the conditions are so bad, I don't want to go. But the workplace hazards that are there, some of them are acceptable hazards that you already know. These are risks that are associated with the job. But now weather elevates those type of risks, specifically if you're an outdoor employee and you're working in these conditions that you're used to, and now temperature drops 40 degrees, you're not used to that. You're expecting that your employer will make those accommodations, and OSHA would expect that too. If it's now where you're getting frostbite on your hands, okay, now they have to make the recommendation, but you have to put them on notice that this is something that I shouldn't be doing because now I've increased my risk to get hurt.
All right.
Thank you, Khalif. Appreciate that.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.